Harvey Walter once wrote, "You can tell a lot by someone's body language." And by that I mean the subtleties in somebody's body language, not always the obvious of somebody's body language. Every day you talk to people, you look them in the eye, you have conversations with them, you do whatever it is you're going to do, and you talk, and your body language conveys a lot of information about you, aside from what you're telling them. Some examples are when you cross your arms, closed off, when you scowl, annoyed, when you laugh, ha ha ha, happy, things like that, when you're making a point, when you're contemplating, when you have a headache, I don't know. All of these things say certain things about you that you're not conveying in whatever conversation you're having. It's those pieces of body language that people don't seem to pick up as much on anymore that I want to speak to today. For instance, day in, day out, I talk to people all the time. I always say hello to everybody. That's just who I am. That's in my nature. I expect a hello back or a smile, or, with the guys, it's a, hey, yeah. That's all I expect back. But when I say hello and you stop and you start telling me stuff I don't want to hear that drones on and on and on and on, I need to get away from that conversation. To do that, I try to convey some things with my body language that I'm trying to relay to you. I want out of the conversation. I just want to say hello. I really don't care how you are. Not in a bad way, but it was just a congeniality of the day, and I want to move on. I do subtle things like I'll stop and I'll listen for a minute on what you've got. But if it lasts past that, and by a minute I mean 30 seconds, if it lasts past that at all, I try to look for ways out of the conversations. For instance, I'll start turning my body away from the conversation, looking over here, seeing what's going on over there. I'll also look what's going on over here. You're still talking, but I'm looking other places right now. That should tell you I want out of this conversation. If I turn away from you entirely and start walking away, that's a definite indicator I want out of the conversation. Not that what you are saying isn't important, it just doesn't relate to me at this point in time. I don't have time to listen to it, blah, blah, whatever, but I got to get out of this conversation. If I walk away from you while you're speaking, don't follow. It's not I have other things to do, but please keep talking because I want to listen to you from behind. It's I want out of the conversation. And then if I pull things like, well, in the 90s, late 90s, I used to do it all the time, early 2000s, but pagers went in. For those young people listening, they were a little device that said you had a phone call, you wore them on your hips. Every now and then, when a pager went off, you would go, whew, and you look down at your pager, and then you look right back at the person and say, oh, I'm sorry, I got to take this. With today, it's your phone. It's the same type thing. But as a little joke, I always just look back down at my belt and come back up and say, oh, I got to go. I got a call. And there's nothing even on my belt. So I do the same with the phone. I also wear walkie during the day. So yep, gotcha. And move away from that point. I don't understand where, as a society, we've broken away from the congeniality of the day is a congeniality day. It's just a hello. It's just a how you doing. It's just a everything okay. If I want to get into a deeper conversation with you, I'll schedule that out, or I'll come to you and say, hey, we need to talk about this or that, or when you start talking, I'll say, absolutely. If I come back with one word responses, really? Well, yeah, right. I'm not listening. I stopped listening long ago, and I'm just trying to get out of the conversation now. And I'm hoping you pick up on the fact that I'm not actually coming back with anything relevant to say, so I'm not contributing to the conversation, so maybe the conversation should be off. Tying it all up, be cognizant of who you're talking to. TMI, too much information, is always a bad thing. If you're not friends with somebody, don't give them more than they need to know. A lot of times it's just a congeniality of the day. If they're just saying hello, just say hello back. How you doing? I'm doing great. How you doing? I'm doing great. Even if you're not doing great, just say I'm doing great and move on. Body language, big thing. It's the unspoken words of language. So please be cognizant of their body language when you're talking to them. They may want to have that in-depth conversation, but if you're me, they may not want to have that in-depth conversation, and they're just looking for a way out. Again, and always keep this in mind, this is just personally my opinion on it, and this is the way I operate. Not everybody does, but I thought I'd pass it along because that's the world we live in. Ciao.